So becoming a SEAL, and in regards to what normal people see, you know, the Discovery Channel and the History Channel, they've done a great job. Of Military Channel, they document buds to an extent. I mean, I'm here to tell you, the Navy, the Department of the Navy is not going to let you see what they don't want you to see. So, I mean, buds is, the best way to describe buds is, you know, every guy in the United States who is the big deal at his high school or college or whatever, that's who's in your buds class. Big culture shock for me when I got there. You know, 18-year-old kid. You know, had a little bit of speed to me, running wise. You know, a little bit of athleticism. Really good at football. You know, track, whatever. You get out there and it's like you realize real quick that you are. You know, I was somewhere talent-wise, maybe in the middle, probably a little bit lower, to be honest with you. I had 2 All-American NCAA Division I All-American swimmers in my buds class. I had 2 or 3 guys who I had watched on TV playing college football, and I'm like, you know, that's that dude. You know, so like I said, you get out there and it's a very humbling experience. You know, you're the fastest, the best where you came from, and now you're with everybody that's the fastest and the best. So, you know, that was probably the first. You're like, oh my God, and you start second guessing yourself. You know, you're like, did I train enough? Did I practice enough, etc. But yeah, I mean, Hell Week is, you know, it was different back when I went through. It was the 6th week of training. And, you know, the Navy has done everything they can to try to get guys through. A few years ago, they got rid of winter Hell Weeks, which for guys like me, that was kind of, you know, a little bit, stung us a little bit, because my Hell Week was February 5th to the 11th. So, and everybody's like, Southern California, how cold can it get? But the water's 55 degrees year round. And of course, in the winter months, it still gets chilly, you know. And when you're wet all the time, you're cold anyway. So, you know, I think buds has, you know, wholeheartedly proven itself as far as the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. I mean, what the SEAL teams have done, you know, performance-wise, what guys, you know, awards, even though we're really not, we could really give a crap about awards, but, you know, guys get recognized for certain heroism things. I mean, buds has shown that it does work. So one of the things that I would say about that is, you know, big, huge props to the guys who put my generation through buds. You know, we caught the tail end of the Vietnam veterans who were training before they retired. You know, guys that were just like legends in the SEAL teams. Those guys are, you know, they did it, man. They're the ones that made us. We didn't, you know, we can't make yourself. I mean, they made us, so, you know. Back when I went through, it was 26 weeks plus I believe you did a 4-week kind of a prep thing before that. So you're looking at 30 weeks. You know, 6+ months. It's hard to be hard for 6 months, but again, that's what the Navy wants. That's what we want in the SEAL teams. We want a guy who's, you know, and it changes you. You know, you have a different outlook on life. I mean, you know, one thing about that is that, you know, one thing that makes buds hard, the longevity, the physical standards, and then what separates us, and by no means am I taking anything away from anybody else. I mean, you know, Ranger School's not easy. I mean, you know, MARSOC selection's not easy. Delta selection's not easy. I mean, all those things suck, and they're all made because all of those places, we all know that we need to do these things to get the guy that we want. But now when you talk about the SEAL teams, the one thing that is the water. I mean, you know, it separates everybody. I mean, it's your mother, it's your lover, you know, so it's kind of the old saying. I mean, it's everything. And, you know, once you add water to doing that stuff, it is a different factor. So, you know, guys that go to buds, and one thing that I've realized as I've gotten older and I've been in the training environment for a while is, you know, guys that go to buds are risk takers. They're more risk takers than most guys, because if you look at it, a guy that goes to buds, if he fails, he is going to a Navy ship, which I'm not dissing Navy sailors. I mean, obviously that is a needed job, but, you know, for me, that's not what I want to do. I'd rather just get out of the Navy. Well, it's not an option. So if you fail buds, you're going to a boat. So the guys that go to that type of training, huge risk takers, and again, not taking anything away from any other selection course, but you go to a selection course in like the Army or something, you don't make it, you can still be an infantry guy, which is still pretty darn cool. So, you know, you start out with a different mentality. The longevity is hard. Hell Week is hard. The water work is hard. Pool comp is hard. You know, running fast and swimming fast for 6 months and doing a set number of pull-ups is hard. When you get out of buds, you're like a different level of hard. I mean, it's like, it's a joke. I mean, you're running 4 miles, 28 minutes with boots in the sand. And you're praying to God that it's low tide when you do that, you know, so you got some hard stuff. You know, you're doing at least 18 pull-ups. You need to be doing 20, because at the end of buds, if you can't do 20, you don't get to eat lunch. So most guys are doing 20. And you know, you're swimming 2 miles in the ocean. I want to say it's like, I don't know, 40 minutes or something like that. So, yeah. I got to the SEAL teams. I was 18, about to be 19, I believe. Might be off a couple months there. I went to East Coast team, which I'd wanted to do. You know, not that I didn't like California, and I know a lot of people might see this and be like, I love California. It is one of my favorite places, and what we tell people is, you know, yeah, born in Alabama, made in California, you know. But I was kind of over SoCal after being there for, you know, I got rolled because I got flesh-eating bacteria, so I got rolled back a class because I had to get an operation to get that removed. I got that in Hell Week. Didn't show up until a couple weeks later, so a lot of California time, ready to leave California. I wanted to come back to the East Coast, so I put in my dream sheet to come to the East Coast, and I did. I went to SEAL Team 8. And I started out there. We did, that was the mid-90s, 95, I believe. Yeah, 95, I got to SEAL Team 8. So, you know, we're doing the Bosnia rotations at the time, and, you know, doing the PIF week thing. At the time, we thought that was like real world. We thought we were something special, but, you know, looking back on it compared to Afghanistan, pretty cake job. Did that for a few years. In the interim, I went to sniper school. I believe I went to sniper school when I was 19. You know, again, I don't, you know, the guys that made me, I mean, you know, the guys at the command, they looked at me, they said, hey man, he shoots okay, he shoots pretty well. We should send that guy to sniper school. A slot opened up. I took, you know, the Navy qual, which was done actually at 200 yards. Passed it, did real well on it, and you know, was mentored by a lot of SEAL snipers at the time who again were legends in the teams. So I got up to sniper school, and man, that's when it was like, bam, you know, I was like, I like this, you know, this is cool. I did real well at sniper school. You know, I would probably attribute some of that to being a redneck, maybe. I mean, you know, walking around the woods doing stalking or whatnot, but so I did pretty good in sniper school, and then I worked as a sniper for a couple of deployments. And late 90s, I had, you know, I'd always heard about this certain place, and you know, it's all rumor mill. You don't really see those guys because you're on a different side of town. They do different stuff, and I ran into some of them, and you know, I was like, you know, that's where I want to go. So, you know, I put in my application, so to speak. They said, hey man, yeah, come on. I went over there. I made it through their selection, another 6-month selection. So I got assigned to a research development test and evaluation team, and I had a good time. You know, looking back on it now, of course, we didn't know the war was going to last 10 years, so my time there very limited compared to my brothers who, you know, the guys who were my age, my generation of guys, you know, they've got 13, 14, 15 deployments. So my time over there, what did I learn? I mean, I think the biggest thing, I wouldn't say me particular, but we learned was the basics. You know, we really revisited a lot of tactics that our grandpas did in World War II. The guys who made us, the Vietnam guys, they did in Vietnam. You know, you're fighting a very hard individual. I think we learned that, you know, the basic, you got to take it back to the basics, but in doing that, there are quote unquote advanced things we can pile on top of that. Not to get too much into TTPs, but you know, I learned that, and I also learned, you know, reality. You know, we lost some guys early on my deployment. Lost a couple of good friends, and you know, I've lost I think 43 friends total so far in Afghanistan. And you know, unfortunately, one thing you learn is that, you know, I don't know if you get a little bit numb to it, or, you know, you just kind of, it's what we do. I mean, that's reality. That's not, hey, I'm a good athlete, I made it through buds, I'm a SEAL, let me tell everybody. That's like, you're in the job now. It's, bam, reality check. So, you know, tons of lessons learned between there and Sarajevo. I mean, you know, you see the bad parts of humanity in Bosnia with the war crimes and the genocide. And, you know, but here's the deal, man, somebody's got to do it. And you know, again, that's what those selection courses are for. That's what BUDS is for. That's what, and you know, the Navy needs it, the Army needs it, you know, America needs it. You got to have people that do that. It was my pleasure to do it. I had no problems. I've been very lucky. No PTSD issues. You know, I've had some friends that have had some problems. That's a very misunderstood thing nowadays. But so I consider myself very lucky with my limited experience there, but lots of lessons learned.